Yeah, how you doing? Once again, this is Radee Prince at James T. Vaughn Correctional Center in Smyrna, Delaware. Um, I'm doing this statement here in terms of the items that I'm releasing. So I'm gonna try to do this I'm gonna try to say it in chronological order. I'm releasing a picture. I'm releasing the pictures of the 2014 assault as well as the police report and medical records. What's so troubling about the police report is the fact that the author of the report, despite my injuries, labeled the incident as a third-degree assault, which is misdemeanor. The reason I believe the officer did that is because I have a criminal past, despite the fact that I haven't been convicted of a crime since 2003, and because I had an out-of-state license. I believe that the officer assumed that I was going to just go away so he didn't have to deal with it. I'm also releasing Tyron Griffin's affidavit. Tyron was the business partner of one of the men, Nathan, Nathaniel Mangum, that assaulted me outside of the nightclub in 2014. The two men relationship soured over money, and his life was inside of a bar at a promotional event. Fearing for he shot men in self-defense. Mangum died, but Kevis Talbert lived and later testified against Tyron. I think it's ironic that two of the clowns that assaulted me was later shot themselves inside of a bar. But unlike Kevis, I didn't run to the police and I didn't make a statement. I truly believe that Tyron's life was in danger that night, and given the fact that he personally witnessed what these clowns did to me, he had no choice but to shoot. I'm also releasing the photographs of the auto pedestrian collision. Jason Baul's 2014 police statement and the 2016 preliminary hearing transcripts. Mark Denny and Eric Fashner claim that me and Jason, that Mark Denny and Eric Fashner claim that me and Jason Ball's dispute started because he refused to give me a job in 2015. However, if you look at the police report, you will see that Jason claimed I was jealous of him because he gets money the legit way. He actually said that to the officer. In a report, he stated that I started bringing up old beef from 10 years ago, which is true. I asked my brother why was he still hanging out with a guy that testified against him to get a lighter sentence. Jason only received 2 years in prison, while my brother received an 8-year sentence. The childhood friend was given probation because he didn't have a criminal record. I'm releasing the witness statements from 2016 funeral incident. They were in a car with me when Jason pulled out a gun and aimed it at my face. Every single witness stated that Jason was so anxious to confront me that he failed to put his car in park, and the car almost hopped the curb and hit a house before Aaron was able to stop him. Concerning the murder for hire plot, I'm releasing Matt Burns' police reported interview. Matt Burns was an employee of Jason Ball's and present at the time of the shooting. At the beginning of the video, he was talking on his phone to a guy that had knowledge of the murder for hire plot. He tried to give the officer his name, but the officer didn't want it. Matt repeatedly told law enforcement that the reason I shot Jason was because the reason I shot Jason was to prevent him from killing me. Matt also stated in that phone conversation that he, Baul, and a person on the phone talked about killing me the day before the shooting. I'm releasing Damian Roberts' affidavit and trial transcript. Damian Roberts was Jason Ball's childhood friend who he asked to commit the murder. Damian was going to testify for the defense before Mark Denny, Eric Fashner, and Detective Robert Fox threatened to charge him with attempted murder if he took the stand. Damian stated that Jason gave him my home address, my work address, and my girlfriend's grandmother's address. I'm releasing Avery Maxwell's trial transcript. He was present when Jason gave Damian Roberts my home address. I want to be very clear. Avery Maxwell is a solid dude. He didn't have to come forward with this information. The prosecution claimed that me and Maxwell conspired to come up with his testimony. However, there's a serious problem with that argument. Me and Avery was housed in the SHU at James T. Vaughn Correctional Center, but Damian Roberts was being housed in Howard R. Young institution. Avery wasn't speaking to Damian because Damien took a plea to testify against him. So how is it possible that these two men were able to give identical stories? A lie always changes, but the truth stays the same. Jason Baul got my home and work addresses from the owner of Wolf's Auto Elite, Ryan. Jason Baul got my home work addresses from the owner of Wolf's Auto Elite, a guy by the name of Ryan Wolf. I'm releasing my bill of sales as well as pictures posted on social media a few months after the trial of Ryan and Jason hanging out and tailgating at the Eagles game. Jason stated at trial that he got my home and work addresses from a friend of his who owns a car dealership. At trial, he claimed that he couldn't remember the name of that friend. Ryan Wolf is that friend. It's completely inappropriate for the owner of a car dealership to provide anyone with their client's personal information, especially given the fact that the information was used in a murder for hire plot. The proof that Baul is a government informant could be seen in Sergeant Paul Cyber's trial transcript. After the shooting, Jason told Sergeant Cyber, Radee Prince shot me. He lives in Elton, Maryland. Contact Detective Baul, you know who he is. Sergeant Cyber tried to contact Detective Baul on an off channel, but Detective Baul wasn't working that day. This is exactly what happened after the auto pedestrian collision. Baul had the officers contact Detective Baul. When questioned on cross how Jason knows Detective Baul, Sergeant Cyber started to say something before ultimately stating that the two men knew each other because Detective Baul used to work in the sector where Baul's dealership is. However, Detective Baul is a homicide detective. Homicide detectives don't investigate property crimes. I'm also releasing Jason Baul's police recorded interview. Detective Fox told Jason that Detective Baul wanted him to know that he will be calling him tomorrow before he goes into surgery. I'm releasing Jason Baul's trial transcript for obvious reasons. His entire testimony could be considered perjury. He lied about everything except his name. I'm also releasing a portion of my trial transcript. My argument with the judge concerning his preliminary ruling denying me of my constitutional right to put on the defense and call for witnesses in my defense. I argue that he would force me to take the stand in my own defense, which is also in violation of the constitutional right. Even before I uttered a single word, he changed his previous ruling, but I still had to testify first. I need to be clear about a few things. I had a very high-profile case that the state was willing to intimidate their own state witness, Damian Roberts, from testifying, bury any evidence of the murder for hire plot or Jason Baul's involvement in it, tamper with the security footage that captured portions of the shooting, deny me of my constitutional right to put on defense or call for witnesses on my behalf, and put a witness on the stand who repeatedly perjured himself. What do you think the DA and the courts are doing to people with smaller cases? When your family and friends tell you that they are being railroaded by the courts, believe them. It's not a coincidence that there is a record number of cases being overturned. With this new era of social media, it's not as easy for the state to bury a person in prison like they did in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But there is no incentive for the DA or the courts to stop. They need to start being sanctioned, fired, and or prosecuted for their actions. Until that happens, it's just business as usual.